Katie had been learning Latin at school for a year. When I say learning, that might not be quite the right word because, to tell you the truth, she had hardly learned any Latin. She knew that grumio est in horto meant grumio is in the garden, but what was the use of that to anyone nowadays? Katie couldn't wait to drop this deadbeat language and learn something more useful, like Spanish. But when she told her mother, she received a big no. Katie had to learn Latin because it was the most useful subject in school if you are a witch. "Why, Mum," pleaded Katie, "hardly anyone casts spells in Latin anymore. They've all been translated into English." "Well, maybe, but Latin makes the past come alive today," her mum said, gesturing with a wooden spoon and accidentally flicking some drops of sorrel soup onto Katie's forehead without seeming to notice. "When you read Latin, people from a whole different world speak to you like they are alive today, only in a parallel universe. To do magic, you need to understand how the past and the present live alongside one another and their energies intertwine." Katie sighed, not entirely convinced. "You make it sound so interesting, but our Latin teacher is about as interesting as a statue of some dead Roman dude." "That's a pity," her mum replied, the wooden spoon now tapping rhythmically against the side of the pot. "We'll have to get you a private Latin teacher now." "But you are always saying we need to save more money," Katie protested, her arms crossing over her chest in a defiant stance. "It won't cost a thing. I'll ask Solomon to teach you Latin." "Solomon? He's a cat. How can he teach Latin?" "Ah, but as you know, he's a magical cat, and he knows Latin very well indeed." And so, every weekday evening at 6, except on Thursdays when Katie had a dance class, Solomon and Katie learnt Latin. Not just to read and write it, but to speak it, because if you can do magic, you will know that Latin is a living language. Solomon would sit on Katie's bed and ask, "Salve, Caterina quid agis?" which means, "Hello, Katie, how are you?" Bene e tu?" Katie responded, meaning, well, and you?" "Optime," Solomon purred. "Fantastic. Today we are learning magical words. They are small but powerful." "Quae verba?" "Which words?" "Primum files," Solomon began. Files means cat, doesn't it?" "Too right. You're making progress." And then he would give her some homework. She would have to learn to conjugate verbs like incantare, to cast a spell. Incanto, incantas, incanta. I cast a spell, you cast a spell. He casts a spell. You get the idea. And slowly but surely, Katie got better and better at Latin. She even outshone her friend Isis, who had a very expensive Latin tutor. It turned out that Solomon the cat was a far more effective teacher than a young graduate with a first-class degree from Oxford University.